So hello everyone and welcome to our Operation Ukrainian Safe Haven webinar on innovative practices with the theme of local immigration partnerships, community and smaller centers. My name is Bahar Taheri and I'm the project consultant for this project and I'll be your host during this webinar. As the Canadian Immigrant Settlement Sector Alliance, we acknowledge that Canada is part of Turtle Island and is the homeland of the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations who have stewarded this land since time immemorial. I am joining you from the unceded traditional territory of the Coquitlam First Nation, which lies within the shared territories of the Tsleil-Waututh, Katzie, Musqueam, Kakite, Squamish, and Stolo nations. It is important for me to acknowledge the lands that I'm privileged to live, work, and raise my son on as a way of showing respect and honoring the Indigenous peoples of these lands. Acknowledgement for me is a simple way of resisting the erasure of Indigenous histories and working towards honoring and inviting the truth. We also would like to acknowledge that we are funded by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. So Operation Ukrainian Safe Haven administered a questionnaire nationally for submissions for projects and initiatives that organizations and stakeholders undertook to welcome displaced Ukrainians to Canada and share their innovative practices. We had 69 organizations and stakeholders provide submissions highlighting their projects and initiatives nationally. The projects requested focused on 3 theme areas: housing, employment, and local immigration partnerships, community, and smaller centers. Our webinar today will focus on the theme area of local immigration partnerships, LIPs, community, and smaller centers. In today's webinar, we will hear from a small select number of organizations who have participated in welcoming and settling newcomer Ukrainian families nationally. Today's speakers will share about their project, the outcomes and innovative practices, and we will have time for a Q&A session after. We would like to highlight that many organizations have submitted outstanding projects and initiatives and have been and are still doing the important work of welcoming and settling newcomer displaced Ukrainian families to communities across Canada. However, not all could be featured in today's webinar given our time constraints. We would like to encourage you to go to our website where all projects and initiatives submitted have been posted. We will share the link for both the English and French web pages in the chat box. Today, we have 3 presentations from organizations across Canada. They are from British Columbia, we have the Vancouver Island Counseling Centre for Immigrants and Refugees. From Ontario, we have the Punjabi Community Health Services and a national project from Kids Help Phone. For our first presentation, I would like to introduce Abir Smadi from the Vancouver Island Counseling Centre for Immigrants and Refugees based in British Columbia. Abir, over to you, take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Abir Smadi. I'm the social worker and volunteer coordinator at the Vancouver Island Counseling Centre for Immigrants and Refugees. It's a pleasure to be here and thank you for hosting us today. So I'm gonna share my presentation. So we are called Vicar, and our mission is to provide specialized counseling and training services to assess, first of all, the immigrants and refugees who suffer from the effect of trauma and torture to the extent that it's affecting their living. And we also train professional counselors to do treatment for torture and trauma. And we provide ongoing support and supervision for our interpreters and health and culture ambassadors. We also provide services and training for our community partners like sponsorship groups, teachers, schools, settlement agencies, and much more. Our main values includes inclusiveness, confidentiality, privacy, and respect. And we concentrate a lot on the quality of service and welcoming as well. Vicar is a safe haven for any newcomer coming to Canada and suffers from trauma in their country of origin or in the process of integration in Canada as well. Our model embodies a multidisciplinary system. It's culturally sensitive. And as I said, we have our own set of interpreters, so we serve our clients in their own language. And all of that, of course, is being delivered by professional trainers in a holistic approach. We have our counselors, we have our interpreters, the social worker, and a huge team of volunteers that supports the client's needs. Up to date, Vicar, we were able to support and provide services for a lot of nationalities, up to 80 nationalities throughout the world. Vicar started with the Syrian influx coming to Canada in 2015. And the latest nationality we've been providing and support and service for is the Ukrainian population. The position Health and Culture Ambassador, or this project, the idea of this project started in December 2020. We were approached by a partner organization, Victoria Leadership, and they wanted us to work with a group of their students for around 4 months, 12 weeks. And these students will help us create a project that will serve our mandate in the community and support our mandate. So we thought about fighting stigma around mental health would be a good project for us to start with. And this is where the position of the Health and Culture Ambassadors were created. We worked for 4 months with this amazing group of students, and we created this project. We started recruiting, but we had the COVID by then, so the project was interrupted until the beginning of 2022, where actually the Ukrainian crisis started, and we thought that the Ukrainian population will need somebody in the field to support them in the emergency phase once they start coming to Canada. So in March 2022, we published the position and we started recruiting in April. We were very lucky. We had around 25 people in the team from different backgrounds and experiences with very high caliber. And we did a full 4 days training, full days training for the 25 ambassadors. We started there. Within the first 8 months up to date, this project actually supported more than 300 Ukrainians in the field. Of course, the idea of the project when we started, it was to make an impact in the communities and mobilize knowledge and discipline stereotypes in general around mental health. We wanted to reduce the symptoms of trauma. We wanted to increase the resilience. We wanted to help people within their communities to find themselves better. Each ambassador will be committed to make a difference in every person, aware and safe and empower them as well in the community. So who are the Health and Culture Ambassadors? They are ambassadors from and members from various non-English speaking community in Victoria and the Cochin Valley who act as a resource to share about Vicar services and work to fight the stigma around mental health within their communities. Our current ambassadors, they work as a bridge between us and their communities. They allow mutual knowledge exchange, and they help to ensure their communities is served with cultural humility and services are integrated with culturally informed approach. Of course, we are very lucky with having our ambassadors. They do a lot of work in the community currently. They help a lot. As I said, they helped a lot of Ukrainians once they started coming to Canada. We are doing a lot of psychoeducation in the community, talking to people, trying to address the symptoms of trauma firsthand once they come to Canada, which makes it much easier for them later on to control. We are trying to break the barriers of the new culture as well, to make a difference in their communities and build more knowledge. Of course, now the ambassadors, they represent Vicar in their community. They're acting as a safe, non-judgmental resource of community members. They share information about benefits, seeking mental health support, the services we provide as well. They do psychoeducation, as I was saying, and they are the liaisons between volunteers, interpreters, and Vicar counselors to support the program. And they attend most of the culture and function in their communities, especially now we are talking about the Ukrainian community. What we did before starting this project in order to make a better impact, we learned a lot about Ukraine and the situation in Ukraine. So knowing about the country of origin information was a key. Then we tried to communicate with the community leaders, like the Ukrainian cultural centers and other leaders in the community, and to know more what the newcomers would need and how to identify their needs as well. Then we start the recruitment, as I said, and the training, the 4 days training for the health and culture ambassadors. Then we identified places in the field where they can actually go and find the new Ukrainians coming to the island. And we provided all the support that our staff can do for this project. So we have continuous support and training for these ambassadors currently. Every month they have their own training, refreshing training, and sometimes new training on the needs that occur in the field. Advocacy is a core in our project. So this is what I was saying. We identify the need of the community. We do fight stigma around mental health in the community, and we try to develop different ways with our volunteers, with constant training and supervision in order for them to be able to respond to any need that occurs in the field. We know that our project, hopefully it will be sustainable. The scope of intervention will be according to the findings they have in the field. We ensure that there's quality of the process by doing, as I said, the training. We ensure that there's self-care. We prevent burnt out and compassion fatigue that might happen to our ambassadors as well. We encourage self-care in every process, and we give them capacity building, and we rely a lot on the peer support process and referral process as well. As I said, up to date, our project reached more than 300 people, individuals. Some of them, they needed support in various ways. They need a lot of mental health support, and we were able to present our services in the initial phase of it, which was great. We are getting a lot of positive feedback from the community. Now there's a system. Most of the people in the Ukrainian community, they know about our services, and our ambassadors, they are the outreach arm for our organization. We're still learning. It is a pilot project. It has been only for 8 months. Now we're in the process of recruiting more ambassadors because the need is increasing. And it has been such a journey for us. And we hope that this kind of service and this kind of project can be also extended for other communities in the island. Thank you so much for listening. It was very nice talking to you.
Thank you, Abir. I'm just going to see. Okay, so there is a question regarding referrals. Are mental health supports in Victoria rather accessible these days? I assume ambassadors do not provide counseling. Is getting counseling for free or at reduced rates available? Do you have a partnership with BC Health or private practitioners?
Yes, it's available. We don't have a waiting list in our organization, and it's for free. And we have a sliding scale. It's according to the people if they are able to pay. But because our mandate serves mainly refugees and immigrants, we take in consideration that the financial situation could be very hard for them. Our counselors, they are being trained to do supportive counseling, and they do referrals for cases in need of clinical counseling. Basically, we have around now 30-something counselors, and we have around 40 interpreters. So we try to cover as much as possible from the needs of our clients in the field.
And you mentioned that you have interpreters. Is there like trauma-informed care, training that the interpreters receive as well?
Yes. When we do the recruitment of interpreters, we do a full training on how to do it on the mental health scope. So they know exactly how to do it within the mental health session, and they also support our ambassadors in the field whenever needed. So at the beginning, when we recruited the team, we made sure that there's some Ukrainian-speaking ambassadors, but for the other non-Ukrainian-speaking ambassadors, we made sure that some of our interpreters are with them in the field. So the kind of service will be in the language of the newcomers, and it will be much easier for them to comprehend.
Amazing. And then another question is, how does one become an ambassador?
Actually, the position we will be advertising for the position next week. Please go to our website, vicar.org, and you can see under volunteers, you will find my email, asmadi@vicar.org, or volunteer@vicar.org, and send me your resume and tell me that you want me to be an ambassador. We welcome everybody. And as I was saying, our experience in the Ukrainian community was successful, and we are looking forward to also extending our services to other communities. And to serve other communities, because it was a pilot project and we wanted to see the effect. It was an amazing effect.
Yeah, this is a really innovative kind of best practice model. So that's amazing. And then you mentioned about compassion fatigue. So how do you support the ambassadors and your team if they are feeling that burnout and the fatigue?
So our model, basically, we are working in teams. We're never alone. Whether it was in the field, even with the counselors here, we have a monthly training that happens for the ambassadors. We have monthly meetings as well. We have constant supervision, whether it was individual or group supervision. So this is the times where they want to talk about if they faced any hard cases, deeply traumatized clients, and they didn't know what to do with it. They can immediately contact their supervisors. They're not alone. So this is the way we do the self-care. And plus, during the training also, we train them on a lot of techniques, how to do self-care. Our team, our co-founder, Adrian Carter, and part of our teams as well, including myself, all of us, we have experience in the emergency response internationally. So we have this kind of training and we have this kind of background on how to protect yourself in such situations.
Amazing. We have one more question. What background are you looking for with the ambassadors?
So mainly we want somebody who would be from like the community, talking of the language of the people we want to serve as well. And knowing a little bit about the immigrant and refugee process. That's it. Because our training, the first training we've done 4 full days of training, it was after COVID in person, and it was very demanding. Now it might be longer because we covered all the areas of the international law, national law, all mental health aspects, how to serve the SGBVs, kids, and all of that, how to protect yourself. So it's a pretty comprehensive training that we do for the ambassadors. So the background, basically, as I said, a little bit knowing about immigrants and refugees, wanting to serve these populations, and it will be an asset to be bilingual. That's basically what we need.
And I think you you just addressed this, but it says, do you have to be bilingual to be an ambassador?
No, actually, you don't. As I said, we have a full team of interpreters. Currently, more than 10 of our ambassadors, they don't speak other than English, but they work in the field with our ambassadors. And sometimes with our interpreters, sorry. And sometimes if they cannot find an interpreter, they use Google Translate, or they manage to find somebody around them in the field where they can help them with a client.
And how many people run the program?
Currently, we are 3, 1 supervisor. I'm the project coordinator, and we have a senior counselor who's a trainer. The supervision is being done by the director of services, direct supervision. And as the project coordinator, I do also a personal check-in during the month with each ambassador if they need any kind of support and help, and I go with them to the field.
And if folks in other parts of Canada want to run a similar program, do you think a model that can be duplicated, so they don't have to start from scratch?
Actually, yeah, we were actually contacted by several organizations outside of BC. Yeah, we are now preparing like a paper to be published about the project, hopefully soon. And as I said, it's part of our services that we are providing a lot of training to partner organizations, whether it was MBC or throughout Canada. We also have actually practicum students coming from all over Canada. They do their practicum here in Vicar, and they support us in doing in the HCA project and several activities in the organization. So this is, I forgot to mention earlier, sorry.
Okay, amazing. We have one more question. So the ambassadors are not offering counseling, but helping encourage referrals to counseling. Is that correct? Or can you expand on that just a bit?
Yeah, not only that, no, because we have around, I said 30 something now counselors, so we cannot accommodate everybody. So the idea of the project was when you have a mass influx coming from a certain nationality into Canada in the emergency process, for our ambassadors to be able to do supportive counseling, not clinical counseling, somebody that you will find in the field that will welcome you in your own language and basically assure you and tell you a little bit about where you are now, and make sure that this person know a lot about your country as well. So the welcoming will be in your sensitivity cultural approach, as I was saying, and they do also psychoeducation. So it's very normal to have mental health issues when you're doing transition, even if you're not coming from a war zone. How about if you're a refugee or a displaced person coming from a war zone? It will be much more heavier. So the psychoeducation part that our ambassadors are doing is to normalize the process of integration here and to show people that you might have such symptoms and it's okay, and how to deal with that in case you are having that. If it was severe and you need clinical support, definitely a referral will be given to one of our counselors.
Okay, great. And then we have folks asking for your contact information and your website. So if you could put that in the chat box,
Okay.
that would be great. And I don't see any other questions. So thank you so much for your presentation. Obviously,
You're welcome.
Our audience is really interested in your program and the work that you're doing. It's amazing. And hopefully it does make it over to the Lower Mainland, the rest of BC, and the rest
hopefully, yeah, we're here to help.
Your
as
team
I
of
was saying.
3 will have to somehow
Okay.
expand.
We're trying to expand even the team capacity, not only the number of ambassadors, because as I said, there's a lot of demand in the field from other nationalities and communities and from our like partner organizations. So I hope it will work soon. It will be a better presentation soon. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we will now move on to our next presentation. So I would like to introduce Prerna Sharma from Kids Help Phone, and I'll hand it over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Prerna. I'm the engagement coordinator for newcomer initiatives at Kids Help Phone. I was having some connectivity issues, so I'm phoning in to this meeting today, and thank you to Sergio for leading the slides for me. So in today's presentation, I'll be giving you an overview of the e-mental health services that are offered by Kids Help Phone and how we've adapted these services to serve newcomer youth, including the Ukrainian youth. I would like to begin with a land acknowledgement. All of us connecting today are residing on the lands that have been home to First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people since time immemorial. We thank them for their continued stewardship of these lands, waters, and wildlife. Kids Help Phone will continue to renew our commitment to reconciliation every day through the implementation of our action plan to support youth from coast to coast to coast, finding hope. Kids Help Phone, who we are. Since 1989, Kids Help Phone has offered a critical lifeline of hope, resilience, and support to millions of young people in Canada. We offer free 24/7 confidential e-mental health services and resources. Kids Help Phone follows a stepped care model when approaching youth mental health care. This essentially means meeting the young person where they are in their mental health journey. So if someone wants to just begin learning about mental health, through our website, they can access mental health tips and information sheets that are targeted towards young people, as well as caring adults and organizations, interactive content like quizzes, games, and activities to build important skills for mental well-being, peer support forums, all the way up to crisis support and professional counseling. If you could please play the YouTube video now, that will give you a general overview of the Kids Help Phone services.
Everyone's life is unique, and so is their mental health. Kids Help Phone understands that, and we're evolving to help you find the support that's right for you, right when you need it. We've designed our website to best support you as you take care of your mental health and well-being. You'll find all kinds of services and tools so you can watch, play, read, and chat. Learn about lots of topics, like how to take care of your mind and body. Talk to a professional counselor on the phone or by live chat. They'll listen and support you with what you're going through. If you need help right now, you can text a crisis responder. No issue is too big or too small. Join the peer-to-peer community, share your story, and connect with other young people like you for support. Find in-person or virtual support services near you. Try a game, quiz, or activity to build your skills. For all youth across Canada, we have the support you need. For more information, visit kidshelpphone.ca.
So Newcomer Initiatives within Kids Help Phone is about 4 years old and is funded by the Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. Newcomer Initiatives facilitates access to well-being and mental health supports for newcomer youth in Canada. Our priorities are to build trust and deepen connections with the newcomer community, as well as maximize access to e-mental health supports for newcomer youth. Learn about mental health. The Kids Help Phone website offers support through educational articles, tip sheets, and interactive content like quizzes, games, and activities that relate to various topics that might be affecting young people. For example, we have topics such as COVID-19, school, bullying, and so on. We also have pages targeted towards equity-deserving populations such as Black youth, Indigenous youth, as well as newcomer youth. At kidshelpphone.ca/newcomers, you can find several educational articles, tip sheets that are relevant to newcomer mental health. Some examples of this include Sarah's story on discrimination as a Muslim young person, wellness support in multiple languages, and I've experienced racism, where can I find support? We're also continuing to add more articles and first-person stories that are relevant to specific newcomer communities. For instance, we're currently working on sharing the story of a Ukrainian counselor on their experience serving Ukrainian youth during this time. We also have kidshelpphone.ca/supporting newcomers, which is targeted for adults and supporters on ways to stay updated about newcomer initiatives. The peer-to-peer community at Kids Help Phone is a new addition to the website. This is an online community of support with other young people across Canada. Here, a young person can sign up, make an account, and privately share their experiences, offer inspiration, and ask questions to connect, comfort, and cheer each other on. I'd also like to add that this platform is peer moderated to ensure that it is a safe space for young people. We've also created specific conversation topics to unite people with similar backgrounds and experiences and give them a safe space to express themselves and hopefully connect with others that are going through something similar. So some examples of these communities include a community for folks Indigenous to North America, military families, people with disabilities, as well as a page for folks that are new to Canada and going through the immigration process. For more information on this, you can visit kidshelpphone.ca/peer-to-peer. The crisis text line powered by Kids Help Phone allows a texter in a moment of crisis to connect with a volunteer crisis responder that can help them go from a hot moment to a cooler calm. This service is supported by our trained volunteer crisis responders who complete 36 hours of online training, which includes training on cultural humility and supporting newcomers. And they're also supported by professional supervisors who oversee the conversation in real time. This service is completely confidential, free, and available 24/7 anywhere in Canada. This texting support is available in English and French and can be accessed by young people as well as adults. A young person can text CONNECT to 686868, and adults can text WELLNESS to 741-741 to connect with a volunteer crisis responder. For more information on this, you can visit kidshelpphone.ca/text. Phone counseling. The phone counseling service offered by Kids Help Phone has been operating for over 30 years. This allows a young person to connect with a professional counselor to get a bit more of a clinical perspective on what they might be going through. Similar to the crisis text line, this service is completely anonymous and confidential and is available 24/7 anywhere in Canada, free of charge. This service has always been offered in English and French. At Newcomer Initiatives, we wanted to make sure that this service is available in as many languages as possible, which is why we launched the Language Expansion Program. With this program, we initially launched the languages Mandarin and Arabic that can be used as, Mandarin and Arabic that can be accessed for phone counseling via interpreters. In January 2022, we decided to launch this service in Ukrainian, Russian, Pashto, and Dari to support the newcomers coming in from Ukraine, Russia, and Afghanistan. So to access this service, a young person can call the number 1-800-668-6868. They can then press 3 to get support in the additional languages that we offer. They will then be greeted by a counselor that will greet them in English, and the person can let the counselor know which language they would like support in, and the counselor will connect with the interpreter to help facilitate this counseling session. We are planning on expanding this model to 100+ languages within the next few months to include more international and Indigenous languages as well. The Resources Around Me database is a database that includes a variety of service programs that are available that can be used by young people all across Canada. Here, a young person can search for physical or virtual support programs and services by the category of service. The category of service is not limited to just mental health supports. There's also housing and homelessness support, jobs and money, legal and advocacy related support, and so on. Young people can search for the language that they would like to support in. For example, if I'm looking for support programs and services that are specifically in Ukrainian, I can search for that. You can filter through the community that the program and services cater to. For instance, I can search for programs targeted specifically towards newcomer communities, as well as my location across Canada. We're continuing to include more resources in this database that are newcomer focused and culturally specific for our newcomer communities. So I highly recommend you visit kidshelpphone.ca/resourcesaroundme to see the resources that we currently have available. And if you can identify any programs and services that we do not have on this database, please do connect with me so we can make sure that it is accessible on this database. Our impact. In 2021, young people in Canada interacted with us 4.6 million times. On average, over 10,000 people reach out to us every single day. Since the launch of our language expansion program in January 2022, we've supported 242 callers in the additional languages. From our crisis text lines post-conversation survey, we see that 10% of our texters identify as newcomers. Of these 10%, 90% of the newcomer identifying service users have found the conversation with our crisis responders helpful. Newcomer insights. So Kids Help Phone collects data on how young people are interacting with our services. Along with that, we collect data on some general trends that we're seeing in youth mental health. So from our newcomer post-conversation surveys, we see that issues discussed via text are anxiety and stress, feeling alone, thoughts of suicide, self-harm, and hurt and past. After talking with our crisis responders, the newcomer population finds coping strategies such as doing creative hobbies, therapy support, being kind and patient with yourself, and connecting with friends and family helpful. I'd like to end off with service user quotes. I can read the first quote. I was incredibly skeptical about the idea of talking to someone I didn't know, but the crisis responder showed me so much support and empathy that even the closest people to me didn't. You really tried to put yourself in my shoes and feel what I was feeling, and that touched me so much. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation. I hope you got an understanding of the services that are offered by Kids Help Phone and how we've modified these services to support newcomer and Ukrainian youth. All the services I've mentioned can be found at kidshelpphone.ca. We're also active on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, so feel free to follow us if you're interested in our latest programs and services. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. So we'll just ask everyone to please send in your questions. We do have a question that says, what is the age range the Help Phone supports?
Yeah, so our services are targeted towards young people as they identify themselves. I know that after 18, you're no longer considered an adult, but we have kept our services open because that transition from being a young adult or a teenager to an adult can often be a slower process. But when designing our services, we tend to keep an age limit of 26, 27 in mind. Along with that, our services are confidential and anonymous for the most part. So when a young person is calling in, we don't necessarily ask for their age or any other identifiable information. So essentially anyone can access the service, but it is targeted specifically towards young people.
Okay, great. And has there been a huge uptake on the services from refugee communities that you found, like across Canada?
Yeah, so we can't specifically, we don't have the data to track the specific communities, but we see from our post-conversation surveys that there is a lot of, the 10% of our users are identifying as newcomers, as opposed to the phone counseling service, which has been a little slower. And that can be due to a lot of reasons, such as stigma or hesitancy to call. We are aiming to increase the usage of these services through initiatives such as connecting with newcomer serving organizations and sharing these services with them to encourage them to refer out the refugees that they see and refugee families to access the phone counseling service more.
Okay, and then we have, do parents who need help with supporting their young kids in crisis contact your line?
Yes, we often have calls from adults and parents on ways to support their children through specific issues. Majority of the times we do have, I meant to say that the database that we have through Resources Around Me is often a really good tool for that. So our counselors may refer them out to other organizations or refer them out to the articles that are on our website to answer those specific questions. But we do often get calls from parents asking to support their children through certain issues as well. But it is encouraged that the child themselves call.
And then you mentioned that you want to collaborate more with the settlement service providers. Do you do presentations or, go in and talk to youth programs or anything like that that folks can get in contact with you for?
Yes, for sure. In my role as an engagement coordinator, I connect with a lot of newcomer serving organizations and youth organizations to spread the word about newcomer initiatives. And that includes doing information sessions for settlement workers, as well as trying to participate in youth activities where we can build that connection directly with the newcomer community. So that's definitely something that I would love to connect on. So please do feel free to email me, and I would love to organize something like that.
Great, and I'll share your contact information in the chat box, your email. Oh, great. I think Sergio just did it for us. Great. Thanks, Sergio. Great. So I don't see any other questions. So thank you so much for joining us today and telling us about this amazing program and, bearing with us with all the tech this morning, but we made it work. So it's great. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. And then, so we will move to our last presentation today. Next, we have the Punjabi Community Health Services based in Ontario with Faisal Chima and Sheena Sabarwal. I'll pass it over to you, Faisal and Sheena.
So my topic is innovative and best practices in welcoming newcomer Ukrainian families. So first, I would like to do the land acknowledgement. PCHS is situated on the traditional territories of Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the territories of Treaty 13A, 14, and 19. We acknowledge the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations on the whose ancestral and treaty lands we work. We are all treaty people. As a result, we all have a responsibility to learn from the indigenous people how to care for the land. We make this acknowledgement as one demonstration of our commitment to truth and reconciliation. We honor the indigenous people who came before us and continuous indigenous presence on this traditional territory on which we work and learn. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land, and by doing so, give our respect to its first inhabitants. And I do acknowledge the indigenous knowledge of Circle. Okay, so the program criteria for the settlement services in our organization is it's funded by IRCC, and we accept the youth and the adults who are permanent resident, convention refugees, Canadian citizen within first 3 months of attaining their citizenship. Of course, we are accepting internal and external referrals, and we do accept the temporary residents in Canada who are eligible under the Canada-Ukraine authorization for emergency travel. Basically, what we are doing at PCHS to support the newcomers or to support the refugees or to support the people from the persons who are in need, we are providing them the supportive counseling. We are helping them to integrate into the Canadian society. So basically, the mission and vision of our organization is to help the people who are, the diverse community, and to have so that they have a healthy and thriving lifestyle. So basically, to keep the vision and mission going with our organization, we are helping all the newcomers and all the refugees who are actually coming to the PCHS by giving them the quality of life. We are helping them in their academic and their social. And when the people who are coming from Ukraine, because that was a war zone, and the basic need for them to when they come to Canada is the employment. So we do help them in their employment, and we are providing the appropriate referrals for the employment services also. And sometimes, if they are not very well versed with English language, we are providing the referrals to the link classes. And we are trying to help them and to support them by building a connection of them with their own community. So through our programs, different programs. So when there was this war zone, and then we saw that there was like the political turmoil, and the people from Ukraine who will be coming, they will be in need of the services. So at that time, we hired 2 staff members, and now we have 2 full-time staff members on board who are Ukrainian speaking, and one is serving as a crisis support worker, and the other one is serving as a youth worker. And to help our staff members, we in our organization, we give them the trainings on cultural competency. We give them the trainings on good service, good customer service. We give them trainings on advocacy. And the staff member, like one of the crisis support worker, she was given training on the online counseling strategy, so that, when they are fully trained, they can further provide support to the persons who are in need. Then at PCHS, we have integrated holistic service delivery model. And I'll explain you what the holistic service delivery model at PCHS and how does that works. So basically, at the entry level, when the intake worker is doing the intake, the referrals are sent to the counselors. They do the need assessment. They complete the information and orientation. Then entire settlement plan is made. And if need be, services are provided, and appropriate referrals are also made. And then there is a continuous follow-up sessions through the counselors. But at any stage, when it is seen that, the persons who are in need, or the clients who are in need of the services, which are beyond the scope of the settlement services, then under one umbrella of PCHS, we try to serve the clients in whatever best possible ways we can. So for example, in PCHS, we have a mental health program. So if the client is in need of long-term mental health support, then we refer the client to that program. Or let's say, sometimes it happens that, there is a issue of domestic violence, or there is issue of family relationships. So we do have Better Family program, wherein appropriate referrals are made and the counselors are connected with the clients to support them in whatever their needs are. Similarly, at PCHS, again, under the one umbrella of PCHS, we have addictions program. Sometimes it happens that when you are far from your family or when you have seen so much of trauma in your life, so people tend to follow in the addictions. So we do help them and we do support them by providing appropriate referrals to our addictions program. And the case manager is assigned to the clients, and thus they do the follow-up sessions and appropriate services are provided to them. Again, we have a program which is called Sahara Support Program. And just to let you know, Sahara, it's a Hindi word which means support. So we do have a support program and we do have high priorities community engagement program at PCHS, wherein especially, when Ukrainians came, so they were not having that much stuff with them, the grocery or the, it might be their first winters in Canada. So we supported them with the grocery coupons, we supported them with the financial aid, and we supported them with winter jackets, gloves, through those programs. So this is how our integrated holistic service delivery model at PCHS works. And within the settlement services, of course, we do have employment program for them. We do have crisis support workers for them. Then for the youth, we do have a Ukrainian youth worker, and to help them build connection with the other community members. The Ukrainian youth are, the very important part of the activities or the sessions that the youth workers are organizing, so that, they build the connection with other community also. So this is how the holistic service delivery model at PCHS is working. So just to give you the brief overview of the services or the support that was provided through the other programs of PCHS. So basically, through the Sahara support program and high priorities community services, as I mentioned earlier, we provided grocery vouchers, we provided rental support and other financial support to the Ukrainian clients. Then there was a project Khushi, and again, Khushi is a Hindi word which means happiness. So this project was organized by one of the other department of PCHS, and where clients were given the grocery and they were given the jackets, gloves, hats, and caps, etc. Then we had organized one event which is called Pack the Sack event. It was basically to cater to the needs of the youth and the people who were looking for the employment support. Because when they are coming to a new country, it was the thought that from where they will get the bags, from there where they will get the stationery items, because they were completely new and they didn't know most of the things, where to go and what to pick. So through this Pack the Sack event, the youth was provided with the backpacks, bottles, stationery items, so that when they are going to the school, they are all set and they are all ready for that school journey or the job journey. Then appropriate referrals were also made to the food bank. And of course, in our PCHS organization also, we have one program which is called Langar on Wheels, wherein, the food is freshly prepared food is provided to the persons who are in need, and appropriate referrals are made to that program as well. Again, we created flyers in Ukrainian language. So this was one of the outreach strategy that our staff was using, so that, the clients are building the connections, because sometimes if they are not very well versed in English, so they cannot read maybe the flyer in English language. So we were trying to, build rapport with them by providing the flyers in the Ukrainian languages. And the support was provided with the employment services and other settlement needs. For example, Presto cards were distributed to the Ukrainian clients. Then wherever necessary, if the staff is not, not knowing the Ukrainian language, then support was taken from the Ukrainian staff to provide interpretation and translation services. Then the sessions were organized to help them and to support them, or to give them the insight about the education system. Then employment related workshops were organized for the Ukrainians, and youth clients were given the opportunities to mingle with the other communities, and they were the part of the Christmas event. Now our organization is planning for the National Youth Week in May, where we have got good number of registrations from the Ukrainian youth as well. Again, to build up the English language, link classes referrals were also made, so that they do not have the language barrier with them. So yeah, these are some of the pictures of the events that was organized. This one is for the Christmas event that was organized with the Ukrainian youth. And this is the picture from the Pack the Sack event, wherein we provided the bags and the stationery stuff to the Ukrainian youth. Yeah, that was all from my side.
Great, thank you. We have a question. How many staff members does PCHS have approximately?
Oh, if you talk about the entire PCHS, it's around 100 plus, I would say 110 plus.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you talk specifically about the settlement program, we have around close to 30.
Okay, great. And then overall for you and your team, what were the key takeaways from supporting the Ukrainian families that were arriving? Like, what was the big impact or takeaways that your team found?
I would say the first was we all the staff members had that when they were having that cultural competency training, they could feel connected with them. So the other aspect was we could see the actual impact of the war zone country. Though most of us are all immigrants, but the situation varies. So we could know those things. So yeah, and it's always good to help and support the clients and who are in need.
Great. It says settlement program funded by IRCC, but how are other programs that provide the holistic approach funded? For example, the grocery vouchers, the stationery items, the food, was that also IRCC funded or?
No, so our organization is funded by IRCC. Then our organization is also funded by Aspire Canada. And then for the Langar on Wheels, we do accept the donations. And that's how we provide the food, and that's how we provide the services through Langar on Wheels.
Okay, so supplementary.
Yes, and we do have some provincial funding as well for the program. So yeah.
Amazing. And then I'm just going to check to see if there's any other questions in the chat box. Let me just see. Okay. And then I guess my question would be, how are you going to apply this to future groups that come to Canada in, for humanitarian migration, similar to this one, or even groups who are coming in as refugees?
So no, we are in any case, we are providing the services to the refugees, and we'll continue doing that, and we'll brainstorm the new ideas or the new activities, definitely. So to cater to the needs of the Ukrainians or maybe the other newcomers. So yeah, we are for example, I mentioned that in May, our staff members are planning to have a National Youth Week. So that will be a very good opportunity for the youth to mingle with them, with the other communities. And similarly, we are planning for the other activities with which we can provide the support.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all the work that you're doing to support displaced Ukrainian families.
Yeah, thank you.
We've learned a lot. And if you could please share your contact information in the chat
Yeah,
box,
sure. Sure.
then that way people can contact you if they have any further questions or would like to learn more. So thanks. So we will, that concludes all of our presentations today. So we're wrapping up a little bit early today. I do have just a few short slides as closing slides. So first of all, if you could please provide us your feedback through our evaluation form. The QR code is on screen and we will post the link in the chat box. It's a short evaluation. Take you 5 minutes to complete. So thank you everyone for joining us. This concludes our Operation Ukrainian Safe Haven Innovative Practices webinar series. This was the third in a series of 3 webinars. So thank you all for joining us. And like we mentioned, the video recording will be on our website. And you can also see all of the innovative projects that were submitted to us on our website. And we have that in both French and English, the 2 different websites. So thank you and have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.